Welcome to Headline to Heartline. Today is Princess Eugenie's birthday, and it looks like the party is over for the Yorks in the worst way possible. Are they hidden? And how exactly is this crisis being managed? Stay with me until the end of the video because there's a pattern here, and by the end of March 2026, that pattern is becoming hard to ignore. Princess Eugenie's birthday on March 23, 2026 arrives not as a real occasion for celebration, but under the weight of a fallout that has become unmistakably real. What makes this moment especially painful is that the pressure is no longer confined to the sins and scandals of her parents in the abstract. People reported on newly released Epstein files showing that Sarah Ferguson sought Jeffrey Epstein's help with flights for herself and her daughters in 2009 after he was already publicly known as a convicted sex offender. People also reported on disclosures indicating that Beatrice and Eugenie were taken to see Epstein after his prison release. That does not amount to an accusation against Eugenie herself, but it does mean that the daughters are no longer standing only at the edge of the scandal. Their names, their proximity, and their family's judgment are now tied to the public record in a way that feels newly personal and newly damaging. What also stands out is the way the Yorks have largely disappeared from view in what looks less like openness than a form of crisis management through concealment. Reuters reported from the Sandringham estate on February 23, 2026, just days after Andrew Mountbatten Windsor's arrest on February 19th, and identified Marsh Farm there as the place where he was expected to relocate. Then, on March 22, 2026, The Independent reported that he had been seen walking his dogs on the Sandringham estate, a sighting that only reinforced how tightly controlled and secluded his appearances have become. Sarah Ferguson's whereabouts, meanwhile, have become strikingly vague. People reported on February 19th that her location was unknown after Andrew's arrest and had already reported on January 30th that she would be overseas for several weeks while deciding where to live. Princess Beatrice, too, has been described by people as laying low with Eugenie, while ABC News Australia reported on February 22nd that both daughters had kept a low profile as the controversy deepened. Put all of that together, and it starts to look as though public accountability is not the answer this family has chosen. Not visibility, not direct reckoning, but retreat, managed absence, and silence. The fallout for the Yorks is real, and now the fallout for the daughters is real too. Eugenie is living through a moment in which inherited scandal has become more direct, more visible, and harder to hold at a distance. So the truest way to frame Eugenie's birthday is that it is not merely quiet. It is that she has little genuine reason to celebrate. The public warmth that marked earlier birthdays has given way to silence. Her latest appearance drew uncomfortable attention because of the context in which it happened. And the family disgrace that once seemed centered on her parents now reaches more painfully into the daughters' own public lives. That is what makes this birthday feel bitter. And maybe that brings us back to the question from the beginning. Are the Yorks hidden? Yes, increasingly so. From Andrew at Sandringham to Sarah Ferguson's unclear whereabouts to Beatrice and Eugenie stepping back from public life, the pattern is consistent. Visibility is being reduced, not increased. And how is this crisis being managed? Not through accountability, not through explanation, and not through public engagement. It is being managed through distance, silence, and controlled appearances. But when a family chooses concealment over clarity, the story does not disappear, it deepens, and that is the real heartline behind this headline. For Princess Eugenie, this is not just a quiet birthday. It is a moment when the consequences of that strategy are becoming impossible to ignore. The party is over for the Yorks, and what remains is not celebration, but the heavy cost of a family still refusing to meet scandal with honesty.